Welcome to the latest episode of the Forecast in 5. I'm your host, Seth Katz. Joining us today is Janine Ledford. As the 2019 LA Lakers Businesswoman of the Year and the 2015 Charter Teacher of the Year, Janine is the founder and chief creative officer of Cafe Strategies. In this role, Janine partners with C-suite executives and organizations to design sustainable strategies that merge neuroscience with creative thinking and is introducing a new term called brain capital into the workplace and in K-12 schools. Her work empowers leaders and teams to unleash innovation for personal growth, brain optimization, and organizational success. Janine is a pioneer in the field of neurosomatic creativity and a national award-winning educator, best-selling author, and global speaker on creative and intercultural competencies. As a veteran TEDx speaker and top creativity trainer, she has inspired many professionals to redevelop their creative abilities in order to produce inclusive ideas for the classroom and workspace. Welcome, Janine, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, let's get started with the questions. Can you explain to those watching what the concept of neurosomatic creativity is and why is it so important in today's business world?
I feel like it's an idea that has met its time, especially with the explosion of neuroscience. Basically, neuro meaning the brain, and I also want to add in the brain and the mind, and the body, that ability to have a brain mind body connection, and how does it influence our creative thinking, not necessarily artistic thinking, but our ability to think with innovative ideas. So we look to increase the mind and body and soul connection, but we also do it in a special way where we use the arts as one of the main drivers to increase that mind and body connections for leadership in non-arts areas. So basically, how can an accountant be a better accountant by playing the flute, or a lawyer be a better lawyer by taking an improv class? What does it look like to strengthen those skills at this time?
Got it. You started your career as an elementary school teacher and was honored as a 2015 Charter Teacher of the Year for California. How has your experience as a teacher helped prepare you for your current role where you're leading your own firm?
Yeah, I've always said that I'm not a speaker who teaches. I'm a teacher at heart who also speaks and writes books and does training. And training or teaching children is very interesting because, you have to be adaptable, you have to be cognitively flexible, and you have to understand that, I can't take a kindergarten and say, okay, I'm going to teach you all this stuff and I'll check in with you in June, right? You can't tell them that in September. There has to be those constant check-ins. And that's where leadership training is going now, where it's less about that yearly evaluation and more of how can we coach and how can we build a learning environment for our employees. So bringing in those best practices from the K-5 classroom is really what our leadership workforce is looking for today.
Excellent. You co-founded a nonprofit organization, Lyrics and Leadership Institute for Brain Health, which uses the work and music of iconic artists to teach life and leadership skills. One of the organization's goals is to create a brain-positive economy. Can you touch on the significance of a brain-positive economy?
Sure. The term brain capital is taking the world by storm now. In fact, right around now they're meeting at in Switzerland in Davos, and they're having the UN meetings and World Economic Forum meetings. And what that means is seeing the brain, right? Here, I have a brain here, seeing the brain as an asset now. Right, especially with AI coming in, but also with the amount of brain disorders that are hitting a lot of our populations in America and around the world. And so what does it really look like to see the brain as an asset, right? It's not just any organ, but it's having the ability to be healthy, but also to be creative, adaptable, curious, resilient. What does it look like to have neural resilience? So economies that are really positioning that brain capital, right? The brain health and brain skills as the forefront throughout the lifespan are really going to be the economies and the workforces that move forward. And so that's what the world right now is convening about. And our company, our organization, Lyrics and Leadership, is trying to be one of the forefront voices on saying the arts have to be a part of that conversation because the arts help build strong brains. And we believe the arts are a part of that hidden strategy, right? The ace up your sleeve that's really going to separate the top leaders in this new future of work.
That's so helpful to learn more, and thanks for sharing that.
Mhm.
Since we have many UCLA Anderson students watching who are determined to start their very own company as you have, would you be able to share some helpful tips with these aspiring leaders?
Sure. Be uniquely you, right? I believe I was reading a Harvard Business Review article, and she calls it the oneness of you, and for you to really understand, right, that awareness, and there's other terms coming out like temporal awareness and situational awareness. For you to really shine in those areas, you have to understand, what makes you tick and what makes you unique and where you thrive and shine. And so that's why I want to bring back the arts. The arts really help you with those skills of understanding where your gifts are. And once you really dive into those, the world would love to see what you have to offer if you know it's authentic. So taking time to understand that network. I wish I would have learned more about the power of networking when I was younger, and just knowing that you have something to offer the world during your 100 years on the earth. Your uniqueness is our gift. So we want the best that you've got.
Great advice. Looking ahead at the future of neurosomatic creativity and the role continued advancements in technology will play, how do you believe the concept will evolve over the next decade?
Well, because we are in a neuroscience renaissance right now, and like the Brain Capital Alliance and other organizations, the EBC over in Europe, they're just really making sure the world knows how important the brain positive economy is. Neurosomatic creativity, I believe, will evolve because we will understand that in order to strengthen the brain, keep the brain strong, and our leaders to understand how everything works together, something we have the seven pillars of brain capital. Just your sleep, your food, social interactions, your ability to move and exercise well and create and be mentally stimulated, all of those working together. So neurosomatic creativity brings that all together for leadership training, or school training, understanding, giving people the tools they need to really be creative with that mind, brain, and body soul connection. Those will be your leaders who rise to the top. And we want all of our kids and our families to have those tools in order to flourish.
Perfect. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thanks so much for being with us, Janine.
It's been a pleasure. Go Bruins.
Okay. And thanks to all our viewers for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode of the Forecast in 5.